South Park returned this week with a brand new episode entitled Skank Hunt. Now, last week I complained that member berries, as many premiere episodes of South Park tend to do, wanted to accomplish a little too much at once, and because of that, the overall product ended up suffering. Luckily, I'm happy to say this week's offering fared much better by buckling down and really exploring the outbreaks of trollings in South Park, all of which just so happen to be attributed to the mysterious screen name Skank Hunt. Of course, as we learned last week, Skank Hunt is none other than Kyle's dad, Gerald. An interesting twist, especially when we stop and consider it's usually Randy who gets himself into these types of shenanigans. That's not to say Gerald hasn't had his own share of misadventures. Let's not forget his addiction to cat pee, the time he lost his house to an Indian casino, or even being a crappy Yelp critic from last season. In fact, when we take all those past events into consideration, it might actually make more sense for Gerald to be the troll. After all, in Gerald's mind, he just sees himself as stirring the pot, getting a reaction, making himself the center of attention, and getting a thrill while doing it. In many ways, Skank Hunt gives us a take on trolls rarely seen in fiction. Gerald isn't some poor, maladjusted kid lashing out at the world from his basement. In fact, he's something that might be much scarier in my mind, a normal, meek, loved guy who internalizes a lot of the abuse he gets during the day, only to let his evil out at night while rocking out to some Boston, might I add. I was laughing pretty hard when Gerald started playing his keyboards like they were a musical instrument. Gerald's dark pastime quickly becomes an obsession by the end of the episode when the women's Danish volleyball team ends up calling him out. No telling where this storyline will go from here, but color me fascinated. Now, at the other end of the episode, we see the toll Skank Hunt takes on the kids of South Park, mainly the girls who are pushed too far, one actually quitting social media. They played this scene so perfect too, where I actually believed for a minute that she had committed suicide, and from there the joke just kinda carries throughout the rest of the episode, that in our overly tech-centric culture, leaving Twitter is considered tantamount to suicide. Standout moments for me are when Mackie and everyone else grieves over the girl's lost profile while she's actually just sitting right there in front of them. It's also nice to see Mr. Mackie have more to do this season. I always liked him as a character, and last season he took a real back seat to the new principal. Fun to see Mackie actually do his job as counselor as well, trying to dissuade Scott Malkinson from also committing social media suicide. Feeling that things have gone much too far, and with a bigger rift forming between the boys and girls at South Park Elementary, Stan and the other boys believe it's time to punish Cartman for being Skank Hunt. You know, after all the horrible things Cartman has done over the years, I'm surprised I can still feel sympathy for him, but in this situation, I sort of did, because for the first time maybe ever, he wasn't actually responsible. But hey, I guess you reap what you sow, right? Also, for the second episode in a row too, I found it weird that Cartman is wearing a Token's Life Matters shirt, but we don't actually get to hear how Token feels about this, even though Token is totally standing right next to him. And oh boy, if you got a chuckle out of the idea of social media suicide, then social media murder will have you in stitches, I promise. Skank Hunt was definitely an episode that played with some darker, more melancholy ideas, and the cherry on the sundae was in the end when the girls decide to strike back at the boys by breaking up with all of them. This scene was underscored by tragic music and each boy falling to the ground like they'd just been shot. It was funny and sad all at the same time, with the episode ending on a decidedly downer note, a rarity for South Park. I'm not saying it never happens, it just happens very rarely. In summation, Skank Hunt was a great improvement over member berries. It was tighter, more concise, the jokes were clever, and heck, I even felt a little bit by the end, which is saying something. Stuff like the member berries and the election were all paid lip service to, and I'm sure we'll deal with them again in the future, but for this episode they were put on the back burner, and I think that was the right idea. The episode had two great songs in it too, which couldn't have been cheap. Overall, I dug this one, and I hope the season continues in this form from here on out. Overall, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching my newest video. I hope you enjoyed it, and while you're here, why not check out another video I have on offer, or maybe if you're feeling in a supportive mood, you want to like or subscribe. And if you want to support the creation of more videos just like this one, then please by all means check out the Cape Joel Patreon. A little bit goes a very long way, and I will see you all next time.